Hi, I'm here with Steve Epstein. Thanks for letting me interview you. We're at Modern Pinball. So how long you guys been up and running?
We've been open since November 1st, so about 3 months now.
That's great. Stephanie, my girlfriend, she's like, let's go check out Modern Pinball. We came in, and I thought I had recognized you. I was like, I know this guy, and I was like, I wonder it's from Special When Lit, that 2009 documentary. Mm-hmm. Well, how did that come to be? How did they reach out to you?
Well, I had been part of the pinball community my whole life. So involved in pinball since the early 70s when pinball was legal in New York City. And I developed a whole system of testing games for the manufacturers on a very high-end level. So from 77 until we closed in 97, I basically tested pinball machines for all the major manufacturers. I designed a pinball machine for Williams back in 1981, Barracora. Been involved with competitive pinball. So my life has been immersed in pinball. My name has been around in pinball, so I felt they had, that's when they sought me out. I mean, I'm sort of when they say pinball, my name comes up all the time.
Comes up a lot. And you had run, was it Broadway Arcade?
Broadway Arcade, yeah.
Was that basically the largest arcade in?
It wasn't. It was actually, wouldn't call it the largest arcade. Basically, it was almost the same size as this store. It was 1,500 square feet in its second coming. Originally, when my dad bought the business, it was actually 6,000 square feet.
Oh, wow.
And in 1985, the building we were in actually was purchased, and they built a hotel right on top of the space.
Oh, wow.
And we had to move to the smaller space, which was next door, which went from 6,000 to 1,500 square feet. But we always featured pinball. I mean, in the big store, we had 50 pins at one time. In the smaller store with 64 pins, we wound up having 16. So we've always featured pinball as part of our product mix. Mm-hmm. And so that's just part of the history.
I think you had mentioned to me that you had, after the documentary, it might have sort of sparked your interest in maybe reopening.
Absolutely. I pretty much had gone into retirement, and if you saw the documentary, I was pretty emotionally distraught, as you must say. I mean, losing that business was pretty much an identity that I had for over 30 years, and being at the pinnacle of an industry for what I was doing. I mean, you lose that, you lose New York City, you kind of get unconnected. Mm-hmm. So for a couple of years, I was traveling with my wife and helping raise my grandchildren. But seeing that movie and seeing myself on screen gave me a little kick to say, why are you sitting around? Let's get back into it. And coincidentally, at the same time, I met a couple of people that were instrumental in bringing pinball back to New York City. Al Siak, called Pinaholic, who's the big operator in Brooklyn. I met Eddie Kramer, and I met a few other people that were reinvigorating pinball. So I started to re-immerse myself with those people and trying to help them. And by doing that, I found this space with my friend Al.
Well, it's raging in there right now. Is this pretty typical? It seems like it's
weekends in this neighborhood, it's typical. This neighborhood, we chose this neighborhood mainly because of the young families with kids. We really believe in, and it's kind of a mission that we've all have dedicated ourselves is to trying to get pinball back out into the public. Kids can't see pinball because they're in bars. That's really basically where they are. They're not in family entertainment centers. They're not in bowling alley anymore. They're not in the traditional places they used to be. So kids have no idea about pinball. And that's one of the reasons this neighborhood was so attractive to us. And you can see the response.
Yeah, they seem fascinated with that.
Absolutely. I mean, the parents are very, very supportive. They so want to get their kids away from these video screens that they're sitting in front of and becoming just antisocial. I mean, you can't have a pinball machine if you have it in your home, it's one thing, but you can't have it on your handheld. You can, but it's not the real deal.
It's not the same, yeah.
And the parents have been bringing their kids. I mean, physically, I see moms dragging their kids in here saying, you're going to play pinball today. And that's so gratifying to me because that really just reinforces what we want to do.
Now, have you been used to being sort of a public figure in that sense?
Yes,
Have you
I've always been.
that?
Yes, I mean since the 1970s, and I met a gentleman named Roger Sharp. I don't know if that name is familiar to you. He wrote a book called Pinball.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Roger also was an avid fan, and he became a customer of mine at the old Broadway Arcade. We became incredibly close friends. Through that, we developed competitive pinball. We started an organization called PAPA, which is the Professional Amateur Pinball Association, which now resides in Pittsburgh. And we now run a group called the IFPA, which is the International Flipper Pinball Association, along with Roger, myself, and Roger's two sons. And we are the public face of pinball.
Yeah.
I mean, only because it's just a natural thing. In New York City, and the location of 52nd Street was really a media hub. So once you get in a Rolodex of somebody that knows your name, and every time there's a story, well, you're the go-to guy.
Right.
And that's how it developed. Then doing the Papa tournaments, we generated immense amount of publicity over a 5-year period. And you can see that on some of the screens that we have in the store, some of the old Papa stuff.
Right.
Us being on CBS and Good Morning, I mean, on news stations all over the place. And it was really a national and international outreach. So again, the face gets out there, people recognize it, and you become the person they talk to or call.
Yeah.
So you become unintentionally become the face of pinball.
So are you guys going to be hosting competitions?
Yes, absolutely we are. We're running a tournament for the last 3 weeks for the Gridiron Greats, which is a charity that supports older players. And we are running it here and consecutively in Asbury Park at the Silver Ball Museum, and in Pennsylvania in Downingtown at Bill Disney's place. And we're getting 4 winners from 4 separate weeks are coming here next Saturday, the night before the Super Bowl, to play head-to-head for a pinball machine.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, is it the same admission to get in and check it out, or?
At that time, if you want to play, we're going to charge, but to watch the tournament's going to be free.
Oh, awesome, great. So, well, thanks very much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.